Let me tell you what. The Liberty Movement knows what to do. Okay, the Liberty Movement, Dr. Paul has educated us, and really what he did is he was that voice out there, that voice of reason. Because when you listen to him, when somebody actually, because people go, oh, that Ron Paul guy, but when they actually sit down and listen to him, as I did at one point in my life, as you obviously did, it's a voice of reason. Yeah. He speaks and you go, wow, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Now, the Liberty Movement knows what to do. And they also know that the financial collapse is around the corner. They know that we cannot continue going down this path of printing funny money and monopoly money and this path of the Federal Reserve, running our government and doing what they're doing. They know that we're about to, that we're bankrupt. They know that we can't continue these foreign wars of aggression where we're out there policing everybody and their mother. They understand that. They know. I think that if anything, the Liberty Movement is the ones that are going to come out victorious in this and really lead the country into the future.
But they have to get elected to do that,
and that's what we're doing, though.
Right.
Because here's where the real victory is. Obviously, we're still, Ron Paul's still running for president, and we hope that Ron Paul gets elected. With the amount of election fraud out there that's gone on, I mean, look, they've completely tried to derail his campaign, and he's got guys that are working for him. I'm going to go ahead and call out Jesse Benton, Trygve Olsen, John Tate, all you establishment guys working for Ron Paul. These guys were put in place by the establishment to really kind of just keep them in this bubble. Okay, Jesse Benton derailed or tried to derail our lawsuit. He came out and blasted it. He was like, we don't support this. Ron Paul didn't do that. See, when Ron Paul was on CNN in his interview, and I think on MSNBC, he said, look, I have nothing to do with it. But hey, if these people were wronged at the convention, and yeah, he even admitted, he said there's shenanigans going on all around the country. Mm-hmm. It is their right to challenge it, and it is their right to do it. So that's why Lawyers for Ron Paul actually announced this last week that we're officially taking over the Ron Paul campaign. We, the people, are going to handle Ron Paul's campaign going forward. So Ron Paul wins. Whether he gets the presidency or not, he wins. Because this revolution that he started, that he woke up, this isn't going anywhere. We know what we need to do.
Just like Thomas Jefferson, he's not around anymore, and we still quote him.
Absolutely. So no, I think the Liberty Movement is the future of the GOP. And I'll tell you what, if they don't want to accept us, if they continue to disenfranchise us, they're going to lose the Republic. And I promise you that. And at that point, maybe, the Republican Party will crumble and the Libertarian Party will rise in its ashes. And that's a very real possibility. But right now, we're doing the right thing. And we've never had this level of young people involved in politics like we do right now. And that's important.
What do you think it's going to take for that to happen? I mean, I personally think that we do have to see some degree of a collapse. Now, I know that we've already seen a degree of collapse, but I think we need to see a greater degree of collapse, because that kind of stuff is the stuff that wakes people up. When all of a sudden you don't have a job and you don't have enough money, and now, okay, I got nothing better to do than riot in the streets or learn about why this happened or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, think about all the people who knew what credit default swaps were before they imploded, as opposed to the people who know about them after they imploded. Because we have a hindsight is 20/20 type of a society, and we have a very uneducated society.
Absolutely.
Now, I think you and I and our listeners,
because they heard the word derivative and they thought it sounded so good and they thought it was great, but it's completely fake.
Derives of bullshit, unfortunately. But I think that what sort of puts us at an advantage is that, look, we don't have crystal balls.
No.
But we have a pretty good idea of where we're headed.
No.
Okay, the average person doesn't even have an idea of where we're headed.
Ron Paul kind of had a crystal ball, though. He predicted the collapse in 2008. He predicted 9/11. He predicted all of that stuff.
I didn't know he predicted 9/11.
Absolutely. And he knew, because he understood. Blowback, man. I mean, it's a common term. The CIA openly admits it. It's blowback is what we get in return for our dirty foreign policy, and he was able to predict it.
Yeah.
He knew. He just kind of followed. The guy's smarter than anybody in Washington D.C. And
it's really just a matter of not getting caught up in the day-to-day Kim Kardashian kind of fucking American bullshit where you're more worried about what kind of fucking hamburger you're
Shut up,
buy.
America. Sit on your couch, drink your 6-pack of beer, eat your bag of Doritos, and make sure you watch, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, because that's what's important, and that's what's gonna, give you a much brighter future. Because if Kim K's looking good, man, your life is going well. So that's just, that's how it goes.
There's a lot of product plugs in that last little rant you had. So once you focus on history and once you sort of have a general understanding for the way the world works, then it is pretty easy to predict things. Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you can't predict the day of 9/11.
No.
You can't predict the day that the market is going to fall 1,000 points or the day that gold is going to be $5,000 an ounce.
Yeah.
But you can say it's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Once you get to that point, then you can plan accordingly, I guess is what I'm saying. What? What are you laughing at?
No, it's just look, America's screwed. I'm going to be honest with you, and this is and look, I don't mean that in a bad way. Here's what I'm saying. We have a very real chance to elect someone like Ron Paul, okay? And the establishment doesn't want that, and they've committed all sorts of election fraud. By the way, everybody go to electionfraudremedy.com, and if you have witnessed the fraud, and I'm speaking out there to the national delegates. They cannot do anything to you. Sign up as a plaintiff. We need you. America needs you. Do what's right. You're obligated to do this. You want to be a patriot? Here's your chance. Go to electionfraudremedy.com and make sure you do that. But here's my point. We have a very real chance to change America and bring it back to what the founding fathers wanted. When they wrote the day that they wrote the founding fathers, the day that they wrote the Constitution, there was a man that approached Benjamin Franklin. And when they walked out, they walked out of the building or whatever, and the man walks up, he approaches Benjamin Franklin, and he says, "Sir, what have you given us?" He says, "We've given you a republic if you can keep it." We didn't keep it. We dropped the ball.
Wasn't it interesting that he worded it that way?
Yeah.
If you can keep it.
Because the founding fathers
Because he knew the corruption of man.
Absolutely. He understood exactly. That's the whole point. They understood that. They understood that the very real possibility of a shadow government to take control.
Right.
And start manipulating the masses. You're right. The power-hungry bastards out there, okay, they understood that. And they knew that because they just got done defeating them.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is that you have to go through so much shit to have an appreciation for what could be, right?
Exactly.
And unfortunately, in our welfare recipient society where nobody goes hungry.
Gimme. I need this, and that's it.
We went from a hand-to-mouth society where everybody was providing for themselves. I'm not a big religious guy, but there's a verse in the Bible that says, if you don't work, you don't eat.
Yeah. And
that's not true anymore.
No.
It's not true anymore.
No.
If you don't work, you get a check. If you work, you get taxed.
Exactly.
So things are sort of flipped on their heads right now.
I don't even like the word tax, more like extorted. Right?
Extorted, sure. Yeah. Whatever. Stolen from. Robbed. But these are the laws of human nature. The laws of human nature say if you don't work, you don't eat. You know what I'm saying? And so, truth be told, if we're not producing goods in an economy and all we're doing is producing paper and other people are giving us the goods for that paper, because that's really what's happening, right?
Yeah.
We're just producing paper.
Yeah. And
every other country in the world is sending goods to us because they have a need for all these little dollars that we have to produce. Eventually, the laws of nature are going to catch up with our society.
Yeah,
and we haven't worked in a very long time.
Absolutely.
And so, the longer it takes to play out, the worse it's going to be when it finally comes to a head.
And here's something that I was trying to explain to some people, and I think America needs to understand this. The time to get involved and to do something is now. We have a real opportunity, like I said, to elect someone like Ron Paul, a real president, not an Illuminati puppet, okay, that's going to do whatever the elitists tell him to do, okay? A man that can actually finally come out and in his State of the Union address the American people and say, hey, you know what? You've been lied to. Everything that you have led to believe is complete, utter bullshit. It's not real. None of it. You have a bot Congress. They're all corrupt. I, as president, refuse to work with the bot Congress. It's up to you, the American people, to fire these assholes, get them out of office, and put the right people in so that I can go to work with them and actually fix the country. Because when you look at his economic plan, all the top economists have said it. It's the only plan that makes sense. He can balance the budget inside of, 3 years?
Yeah. The problem is that people, the special interest groups and the people who are benefiting right now from the budget being out of balance don't want to go through that pain. And they're not willing to go through that pain.
So here's my point, America. Going back to my comment that we're screwed. If this doesn't happen and Ron Paul doesn't get elected, the Liberty Movement is alive and well. We know what we're doing, and we're working to change it. The problem is, this is what I fear, that in 2016, we're not going to have another election. The very real possibility of being in an all-out, tyrannical police state, where they're just going to appoint presidents, is there. I mean, everything is there. I mean, look, these guys do what they want. Obama has over 900 executive orders, and he hasn't even been president for a full 4 years. You know, we thought Bush was bad. He had 200 and some odd executive orders in 8 years. This guy's got over 900. Then you got someone like Mitt Romney running for president, and just the other day, he comes out and says, you know what? I don't need Congress. I'm going to act unilaterally without the approval of Congress, and I'm going to go to war with Iran. Which, again, tells me that, look, these presidents have completely moved into the complete dictatorial position, and that's what we have as a country now. We have dictators. We no longer have elected representatives, elected presidents that are there supposedly to work for us, we the people. That doesn't exist anymore.
I don't know if you ever heard of this. Did you hear about the Department of Homeland Security ordering 350 million 45 caliber hollow point bullets?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. They're preparing for something. Absolutely.
I mean,
and so, you know what they're preparing for? They're preparing for the Liberty Movement. They've never seen anything like this in the United States. Never. Not at this level. You have millions of people that have woken up.
They're not stupid. They see gun sales. They see silver and gold sales.
That's why Barry decides, you know what? Forget the Constitution. Forget all this. You know what? I'm not going to do anything to get rid of people's Second Amendment rights. I'm going to have the United Nations come and do it. And that's why right now he's trying to push Congress to support, the UN Small Arms Treaty, which is going to allow the UN to come and take all of our guns. Well, I'll tell you what. That's the biggest mistake that they're going to make. And watch out. I'm being honest with you.
So what are you saying though? Like you're saying there's gonna be gunfights in the streets.
We are not condoning this, people. In no way are we condoning any form of violence. But if it comes to that, absolutely. I mean, what are people?
The Second Amendment there for?
And that's exactly why it's there. The Founding Fathers put the Second Amendment in place